Hello and welcome back to Fmaily Bible Time. First up we have our quiz, and last week's story was Palm Sunday. So the first question is, what was the animal Jesus rode on into Jerusalem? It was a donkey! So whoever got that right can get a prize. Question number 2. What was the reason the disciples gave to the owners for untying the donkey? The Lord needs it. And so whoever got that right can get a prize as well. Question number 3 is, what was put on top of the donkey before Jesus got on? Coats. It was the disciples' coats. Question number 4. Whoever got question number 3 right can get a prize too. So question number 4. What was put on the floor in front of the donkey as Jesus rode into Jerusalem? Coats and palm branches were put on the floor in front of the donkey. And question number 5 is, what were the people doing while they were putting down the palm branches and the coats? They were praising God by saying things like Hosanna and blessed and peace. So if anyone got the answer similar to that, they can get a prize. So we've had our quiz. It's now time for our story. And our story this week is all of Holy Week, from Maunday Thursday to Easter Sunday. So I'll be doing this story in 2 episodes. And so that means you're going to get 2 episodes this week. One of them's going to cover the events of Maunday Thursday. And one of them's going to cover Good Friday and Easter Sunday. So please pay attention to our story this week, which will be taken from Matthew 26 to 28. And I'm going to tell you it in my own words. Now, after Jesus had entered Jerusalem on a donkey, it was time for the Passover meal. And Jesus and his friends wanted to celebrate this together. So they found a place and they went in and set up and got ready for the Passover meal. During the meal, Jesus said to them, "One of you will betray me." They were all very sad about this because they all loved Jesus. And they all even said, "Surely it's not I, Lord." And Jesus told them, "The one who dips the bread in the morsel at the same time as I is the one who will betray me." Judas then said to him, "Surely not I will betray you, Lord." And Jesus said to him, "Yes, it is as you say it will be." Now the disciples were confused by this at the time. Only afterwards did they realise why Jesus said this. Jesus then went on to say something else. He took the bread that they were having and said, "Take, eat. This is my body broken for you." He then took the cup of wine they were having and said, "Take, drink. This is my blood shed for you." The disciples again were a bit confused by this and didn't really understand it until after they had experienced the events over the next few days. After having a lovely meal, Jesus and his disciples went to the Garden of Gethsemane near the Mount of Olives. Jesus asked Peter, James, and John to come with him further into the garden. They travelled into the garden, and Jesus asked the three of them, Peter, James, and John, to stop and pray. Jesus went on further and started praying himself. Jesus prayed a prayer that went a bit like this. My Father, please don't let me suffer, but let your will be done, not my will be done. Jesus then went back to his disciples, Peter, James, and John, and found them asleep. He woke them up and told them to keep praying. Jesus then went back to pray by himself, and he prayed the same words again. My Father, do not let me suffer, but let your will be done, and not my will be done. Jesus then went to his disciples and said to them, and found them asleep again, and woke them up and said to them, keep praying. Jesus then went back and started praying again. He prayed the same prayer. My Father, please don't let me suffer, but let your will be done, and not my will be done. Jesus then went back to his three disciples, Peter, James, and John, and woke them up again because they were asleep. He told them, awake, for now is the time for the Son of Man to be arrested. They then saw Judas with the guards from the Pharisees approaching them. Judas kissed Jesus on the cheek to indicate to the guards which person they were to arrest. So we've had our quiz and our story. It's now time for the explanation. Now I wonder why Jesus prayed the words, my Father, please don't let me suffer, but let your will be done, and not my will be done. Now that first part where he's saying, my Father, please don't let me suffer, is Jesus saying, God, you are my Father, and I don't want to go through any pain or suffering. But then the second bit is a bit more complicated, because he says, but your will be done, and not my will be done. Now what Jesus is saying here is, God the Father, I want what you want to happen, not what I want to happen. So, we've had our quiz, we've had our story, and we've had the explanation. That means it's time for the discussion now. So after each question, you can pause the video and discuss the question as a family. And I have 4 questions for you again this week. First one is, I wonder what your favourite part of the story was. The second question is, I wonder what your least favourite part of the story was. The third question is, I wonder what we could take out of the story and still have the whole story. The fourth and final question is, I wonder what you would have been doing in the Garden of Gethsemane. So, we've had our quiz, our story, our explanation, and a discussion. It's now time for the prayer activity. Now this week, I want you to find some sort of object, preferably a ball, that you can throw to each other as a family. And every time someone catches the ball, they then have to pray a prayer out loud about anything they want. It can be a thank you prayer, it can be a please prayer, it can be for their friends, it can be for their family, it can be for themselves, and it can be about anything they want. So thank you very much for joining us for the first part of our Holy Week series. Part 2 is coming out soon, so please keep an eye out for that one, where we'll cover Good Friday and Easter Sunday. Thank you very much for joining me, and I hope that you have a good time over this Easter period.